So I saw this video yesterday of Eckhart Tolle, and some guy was saying to him that he'd read all his books and listened to his videos sort of on a daily basis, but was even less capable of being present. Because as you may or may not know, that the big thing with Eckhart Tolle is that we should be present, as if. Anyway, more on that in a moment. So this poor guy was saying, I've listened to your videos, I've read your books, and my mind's whirring along even more and I can't stop thinking. And Eckhart Tolle just said, well look, it's very simple, it's all about just being present. And of course winning the lottery is just about getting the numbers right, dead simple. So I had a certain amount of sympathy for this guy, and no doubt the tens of thousands of people who listen to and follow Eckhart Tolle and other people like Satguru and who else is there, Rupert Spira, spouting some kind of formula that they think is relevant to everybody, which of course it isn't. We're all absolutely different and we have to get our own stuff together. You can't just rely on somebody else doing the work for you. Anyway, that's not the topic. So let's question all this stuff, all these gurus and so on. Now, I've mentioned this in a few videos prior to this one, or podcasts, but Spinoza talked about 3 levels of knowledge. The first one is hearsay and experience. In other words, hearsay is somebody tells you something, you don't know if it's true or not. They can tell you the moon is made of green cheese. You don't know if that's true or not. Somebody might tell you that mindfulness is useful. You don't know if that's true or not. So you read a book, by Satguru or by Eckhart Tolle or Gurdjieff or whoever, and it's just hearsay. And this is why Gurdjieff said, don't be suggestible. Prove it all yourself. Don't believe a single word unless you can validate things for yourself. And that is the way it is. But anyway, so the first level we have hearsay and experience. Experience is basically unprocessed experience. So you walk past a building and a tile drops off. And after that you believe that every time you walk past a building a tile is going to drop off the roof. Well, of course, it doesn't happen like that, but that is unprocessed experience. So, in human-to-human contact, a man may have a very, very bad experience with a woman, and thereafter he thinks that all women are total bitches. Or, the opposite. A woman has a very bad experience with a man, and after that she thinks that all men are total bastards. Very common. So that's hearsay and experience. It's the first level of knowledge. It's really not knowledge at all. It's just like suspicion and rumour. There's no thinking process involved in that. The next level of knowledge is reason. And reason basically looks for evidence and tries to validate things in a meaningful way. Science is based on reason, obviously. And we try to apply reason to many areas of life, usually external. By external I mean things that we can control in the external environment. So we've applied reason to physics, for example, very successfully. We don't apply reason to ourselves very successfully, so people carry around with them various bigotries and biases. And those bigotries and biases shape their life because they never apply reason. So, is every Muslim a terrorist? Speak to some people, and the answer is yes. But look at the statistics. How many people in the United States, for example, are killed by non-Muslims with a gun versus Muslims with a gun? Well, non-Muslims with a gun far outstrip Muslims with a gun. But, that's reason. But people don't like that. They want to stigmatize somebody and of course, making somebody else look worse or bad makes them feel better. But again, that's not the topic of this video. But So, first level of knowledge, hearsay and experience. Second level of knowledge, reason. But reason can be wrong. We've reasoned about many things and been wrong about them. Physics is a constant process of finding out that we're wrong to some extent. But at least it's an attempt to be objective. And the final level of knowledge, according to Spinoza, is what he calls intuition. And he says in the Ethics, he doesn't say a lot about intuition, but he says that it is a direct perception of the essence of something. The essence being the substantive character of it. So the direct perception of things, which is not a thinking process, it is a perception. And that is as good as it gets for men. So having covered that, I want to go on to show that most of what we consider to be self-help material is really nothing more than this first level of knowledge, which is hearsay and experience. So let's take some of these self-help things that people by default consider to be true. So mindfulness. Is mindfulness useful? Well, I'm not going to tell you whether it is or not. I was told something many years ago that I found to be true. But mindfulness is simply the act of trying to focus on what one is doing and to have a sense of oneself and to be mindful of what one is doing. This isn't actually in the main a very useful thing to do. Sometimes it is, but usually it is not. All that's going to happen is that you're going to get frustrated and angry. Because trying to be mindful just turns into another habit, and habits are the stuff of being asleep. So mindfulness, test it for yourself, but if you just read it in a book and then try to be mindful, you're going to spend a long time being frustrated and angry, because the human being has the ability to be mindful in this sense for very short periods of time. Same with Eckhart Tolle's being present. Is being present useful? Is it something that's necessary? And so on. Well, actually, no, it isn't. Particularly if it's some kind of fabricated activity that you're putting together for yourself. I am sat here, I am being present. Well, no, it's not really all that useful. I could go into these things in more depth, because there are some ways to do these things that are possibly more useful than is usually presented. But another podcast. So let's get away from mindfulness and being present, which are just imports from Buddhism, essentially. And Mr. Tolle has done very, very well out of that, and good for him. So let's move away from the Buddhist type things and move towards the self-indulgent stuff, like is advertised by the Hicks. Is it Abraham Hicks? I always get confused with his names. But Abraham Hicks, The Secret, which is basically whatever you want, whatever you dream, however you believe your life should be, you can achieve by just thinking about it and visualizing it. And if it isn't working for you, then you're not doing it right. Stupid you. The woman who created The Secret actually is on record as saying that the tsunami of 2004 that killed 250,000 people was just an expression of their negativity. I mean, I think she should have been put in the stocks for a week for people to hurl stones and rotten tomatoes at her, but she kind of got away with it, and all her groupies said, yes, those people are negative, they're not thinking positively. Okay, let me give it you straight. The universe doesn't give a damn about your dreams. The universe is governed by laws, and it will not break its own laws or bend its own laws just to please your whims and wishes. It doesn't happen. So this whole thing of pursuing your dreams and visualizing and so on is just more hearsay. And yet people, even though they will, after a period of weeks maybe or months, realize that it's just nonsense, they still keep doing it because, in the books it says if it's not working, you're doing it wrong and you're not trying hard enough. Stupid you. Okay, let's move on to more self-help rubbish. Stopping thought and meditation. Can you stop thought? No, you can't stop thought any more than you can stop the blood flowing around your veins. Your thought stops when you die, so if you really want to achieve it, then there's one way to do it. You can still thought to some extent. You can make it less excited. But can you stop it entirely? No. No, you can't. Not for protracted periods anyway. There may be some, Buddhist guys somewhere who've learned some special technique and have done nothing else but work on that technique who can maybe stop thought. I don't know, maybe. But we're talking here about hearsay, somebody telling you something, and just ordinary experience, unprocessed experience. So meditating to try and stop thought is going to make you very, very stressed out. Observe your thought. Absolutely. Just sit there and watch the stuff roll through. But trying to stop it, well, it's a bit like trying to stop the Niagara Falls. It's not going to happen. And let's have a look at the last of these self-help things that many people adopt without really thinking about it. Positive thinking. Positive thinking is an absolutely guaranteed recipe for disappointment. Because again, the universe is not the least bit interested in your positive thinking. This project is going to go well. My holiday is going to be the best holiday I've ever had. My new partner is going to be just such a delicious, delightful person. The universe really doesn't care. So it's been shown now. There are several books out on the power of negative thinking. Negative thinking makes people happy because they don't set themselves up for failure, and they're more prepared for things that go wrong because things go wrong almost every day in life. So if you adopt negative thinking, then you're more prepared for those things. And even Spinoza, who is this positive rationalist, says we should meditate on a daily basis on the things that might go wrong so that we're more prepared for them. So, there's the first level of knowledge, just hearsay and some unprocessed experience. Mindfulness, being present, don't waste your time. Pursue your dreams, don't waste your time. Stopping thought and meditation, don't waste your time. Watch your thoughts if you want, but trying to stop them is just not going to happen. And positive thinking for making things in your life go better. Well, it doesn't work like that. The world and the universe just doesn't give a damn about your positive thinking. So, what are we left with after all that? Well, I'm going to suggest two things. And this is a podcast. As far as you're concerned, this is just the first level of knowledge, which is hearsay and some, maybe experience if you try something. So there are just two things actually that you need to transform your life in actual fact. One is self-observation, which is essentially a total acceptance of things as they are. Now, all those self-help things that we went through, mindfulness, being present, pursuing your dreams, stopping thought, positive thinking, are based on the fact that your life is not okay as it is. But your life is okay as it is. Who has told you that your life is not okay? Even if you are just about to go through triple bypass surgery, or you are feeling so unhappy because your partner has left you, or you're running out of money, or whatever. Be with those states because they are perfect. It sounds trite, it sounds trivial, and it's very, very hard to do. But believe me, it will transform your life, because you will be able to more and more accept your life as it is, rather than wishing for it to be other than it is, which of course is going to create even more unhappiness and friction within you. So self-observation is literally just looking at your state without any judgment, without any desire to change it. Just, how am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling total shite because I've just lost my job. Well, be with it. Just be with that state. Don't try and change it. It's perfect. So that's the first thing you can do. And I've done other videos, podcasts around that topic. The second thing you can do is try to understand. And by understanding, I'm talking about using reason at least, and intuition if possible, i.e. the direct perception of the essence of something. And this is hard work. Just reading a book by Eckhart Tolle or Gurdjieff or whoever is not hard work. It's just like reading a newspaper. In fact, Gurdjieff warns people about reading his works like they'd read the newspaper. They're not going to get anything out of it. So we buy these books to make us feel good for 10 minutes, and we realize that what they're talking about may be actual total nonsense. But we still persist, because all we've done is we've accepted what has been presented without any critique at all. So, you need something based on reason. Well, oddly enough, the philosophers, particularly people like Spinoza and Schopenhauer and Kant and others, have presented what is essentially spiritual insights based on reason. But it's hard work, so nobody does it. They just want the first level of knowledge, which is hearsay and unprocessed experience. And then when they start becoming confused, and they've read 400 self-help books and don't know which one to follow, and they're totally at sea, then of course they're going to be suffering, because they haven't put any real work into trying to understand the thing from a rational point of view. And your reason will not be fooled. There's something in your mind that knows when something is not right, even though you might try and kid yourself that it is. So those two things, just observing yourself and trying to understand. And if you want to understand, then you probably need to start with maybe some of the Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, and possibly Epicurus, who wasn't a Stoic, but Epicurus, some of the Greek philosophers, and then go through people like maybe Bishop Berkeley, definitely Spinoza, Schopenhauer. It's a lifetime's work, but what you will have at the end of it is understanding rather than just some hearsay that you've taken to be true. So it's the old thing of building your house on a solid foundation rather than on shaky foundations. Finally, do not assume that any of these teachers, gurus, people who produce podcasts are fundamentally different to you. We're all as fucked up as each other. It's just that some of us know it, and some of us pretend to ourselves and to other people that we're not fucked up. But believe me, everybody's fucked up. It's just the nature of the game.